one of the beautiful little credit secrets that you can do to help you boost your credit score. Now, again, yes, there is some trust involved in that. There's trust on the part of the person that holds that card that's going to let you be an authorized user. And then there's trust on your end as well, because you can become an authorized user on somebody's account. It's always been good. It's always been great. They got a $10,000 limit and a $100 balance, and so you real good. You golden if you are become an authorized user on that. And the cards, they've had the card for 10, 12 years. You're golden if you get that put on your credit report. But let's say that they go ahead and they start charging on it. They start charging on it. It go from that, measly 0.1% or whatever it was of the debt utilization of it to 50%. And so then you don't get all of the benefit that you were actually looking for in the first place. Yes, you still get the payment history from it. You get all of that. You get the limit and all of those things. But then, if they start to charge on it, maybe it changes a little something for you. So there is some trust factor in there with both of these things. Now, if you're the person that's holding the card and you're letting someone else be an authorized user on your card, you don't necessarily have to give them that card. This will protect you. So yes, if they become an authorized user, they have full availability to your whole credit limit, so they can go out and use it if you actually gave them that card. So I'm suggesting if the only reason you're giving them in this card is to help them build their credit, then don't give them the actual card itself. You hold on to the card. They'll be placed on as an authorized user on that particular account. It'll hit their credit report. They'll get all of that love for the last 10, 12 years of you paying that card on time and every month, and you having that high limit and a very low balance. They'll get that, and they'll get it basically right away. So not only does it help them with their debt utilization, it actually helps you with your length of history as well. So if it's an older account, like I said, 10, 12 years, and you already had a small or a short length of history, average length of history, then it's going to elongate that. That's going to be better for you. Credit bureaus like that. It's 15% of what makes up your score. So yes, authorized user is one of my absolute favorite things to do. Now, it's not easy to get done. It's definitely not easy to get done to have an authorized user. Not everybody's really close with their mom or their dad or their sister or their brother. And then some people just don't know anybody that has good credit in their life. They're just not aware of the people that might have good credit that they'll be able to piggyback on, if you will, somebody else's credit card. So it's not always as easy as it seems or it sounds, but the process itself is very easy. The process is super, super easy. If you want somebody to be an authorized user, the person that holds the card calls up the company, look in the back of the card, get that 800 number and say, hey, I want this person to be an authorized user. Here's their name. Hopefully they'll be asking for your social security number because they got to put it on your credit report and maybe your birth date. And that's it. You don't even get an inquiry or anything of that nature if you're the person that's coming onto the card. You don't get an inquiry or anything. So it's actually a very, very good thing to do. And like I said, doesn't cost you a dime, not one dime, to become an authorized user on someone else's card. So that's one of my things I want you to do. So let me recap real quick. So we talked about, this credit journey. So how you can build your credit without spending a whole bunch of money. Let you know that, hey, you don't need a lot of money. You don't have to make a whole bunch of money either to have a good credit score. You can make minimum wage and have a good credit score. I told you guys to stay active. Make sure that you stay active with your credit, and then in doing so, to charge just a little bit. And I gave you some tips and some things that you should do, and also told you better make sure that you know thyself in that regard. And so now we're at the authorized user portion. So again, if you have any questions about that, especially authorized user or anything at all, you can always contact me, 800 credit score man at gmail.com. So let's jump into the question of the day today. We're going to do that, and you know who the question of the day is brought to you by. It's brought to you by Cute as a Cupcake, Cupcakery and Bake Shop, where the cupcakes are more than just cute, they're delicious. Cute as a Cupcake is located at 2008 West 81st in Maryville, Indiana. Get by Cute as a Cupcake and let them know that the 800 credit score man sent you. So look, let me do this shout out, and we're going to get to this question of the day. John Corral. I got to give a big, big shout out to John Corral, member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Actually, my first pledge son. So happy birthday to you, man. You're doing big things. I see you. I see you, John. So happy birthday to you. And I got to give a shout out to Brenda Jeffries. Brenda celebrated a birthday earlier this week as well. So happy birthday to you, Brenda. Thank you so much for listening to the show. So let's jump into this question of the day. So the question of the day comes from Sonia. Sonia is from the great state of Michigan. And her question, which is rather loaded, is how long does it take to get to a 800 credit score? Now, Sonia, you talking about something that a lot of people are trying to get to. There are Facebook groups dedicated to this and all kinds of places that have that as a goal, something that they want to get to. So let me tell you this. The question that this is the one that everybody has seriously. So unfortunately, though, there's no definite or definitive answer on that, on how long it'll take you to get to an 800, because there's just so many factors to consider. So a couple of the factors. Is your current score at 580 or is your current score 720? That's going to make a difference how long it's going to take you to get to an 800 in your particular question. Is that, or is your thing at the, or is your credit score at say 695, which is the national average right now? So it depends. You know, some people have a long way to go to get to 800. Some people have a short way to go. Unfortunately, the closer you get, the harder it gets for you to get there. So you get to that, 720 area, it's going to be more difficult for you to get there. If you're at 580, you might shoot to 720 in, a year, 14 months, you might shoot to 720. But then that last little road, it's almost like running a marathon. When you run a marathon, well, I don't know because I've never run a marathon. But from what I've heard, when you run a marathon, you get your stride, you're going good, but then you hit that roadblock a little bit, and then you need some more motivation, and it may be tougher the last part. Then when you get even closer to the end, you start to pick up steam, and it's all part of, that motivation in your mind. Credit scoring system is a little similar to that simply because the closer you get to it, the more difficult it seems to be able to push yourself over that threshold because you've done so many good things already. You've already did the authorized user. You're already paying on time. You've got a good length of history. You've already reduced your debt. You've done so many things that they want you to do to get there that it's a little tougher to try to find that next little switch that'll jump you over 800. So it's a little difficult to answer that when it comes to that. Also, how long have you had credit? So if you've had a short stint of credit, if you're 21 and you got your first credit card at say 19, or you got your first credit card at 18, then you have a low or a short average length of history. So you have a short length of history. Your payment history isn't that long at all. You got a couple of inquiries. You don't have, typically you wouldn't have a huge debt utilization. Far as your limits are concerned, you probably don't have, a $10,000 credit limit or what have you. Maybe you only have an $800 credit limit, so you're probably not at that 30% or whatever if you actually use it. So that all those factors go into play when it comes to that. So unfortunately, there are really more questions than there are answers. Do you have any collections? If you have collections, then can we actually get them off of your credit report? You might be able to pay them, but that doesn't do anything good for your credit score unless they can be actually be removed from your credit report. Are those collections medical in nature? Or are they regular? When I say regular, I mean something like from your cable company or from some other place that you bounced a check back in the day or whatever. Those kinds of collections, those kinds of things are not necessarily difficult to get off. The people you deal with may be difficult, but they're not necessarily difficult to get off. But when it comes to medical, as of right now, if you make your payments on the medical bills and it's a collection, once you pay it, whether it comes off of your credit report or not, it's no longer going to be a factor in your score. So all of these things make up the reasons why I can't definitively tell you how long it's going to take you to get to 800. I know it took me years and years and years to get to 800, but like anything else, I had ups and downs in that time frame. Had a really low score, started working on it, bought a home, did some things, took a hit, came back down again. Started working on some things, paying off some collections or whatever, started climbing yet again. So it's difficult to say exactly when it's going to be. So like I said, there are more questions than answers really. But remember this, since you asked about 800. You don't need a 800 to get the best rates and pay less interest. You don't necessarily need an 800. In most cases, you need a 750. So the person with the 751 credit score gets the same interest rate as the person with the 848 credit score. They're going to get the same rate. They're going to get all of those things. So some companies actually it's like industry specific. Like I talk about it being your credit score actually being industry specific, like your mortgage or a car or even with credit cards. Some of the things are industry specific. So you may be considered excellent at a 720 versus having to have a 750. You may be considered excellent in that regard. So the goal is always to pay less interest. That's the goal. And to get your financial situation handled faster and easier. Because I've told you before, when you got a good credit score, some of the things that they may ask somebody that may be risky, they don't even ask you about, or you don't have to prove them at all. You can just say, "Yep, absolutely, I make $150,000 a year," and as long as you don't, say that you work at McDonald's and you make $150,000 a year, then they'll believe you because you have a good credit score, and you don't have to bring in your tax returns, or you don't have to bring in your W-2 or what have you. You may not have to do those things because you have a good credit score. So that's the whole goal, is to actually get the best interest rates. So whether you can get that best interest rates at a 740, 750, a 770, whatever it is, that's really the goal. So don't kill yourself trying to get to 800. That's really my point. Don't kill yourself trying to get to 800 because that's not the magic bullet. Actually, but you want to get to 800 if you can. You want to get to 850 if you can, because your credit scores do fluctuate. So that doesn't mean it's going to always stay there. It's not going to always stay there. I think earlier this week I posted mine. The last time I posted it was 822. This time I posted it is 815. I looked at the history on it before. It was 803. Then it was 805. And then it was 815. Then it dropped to 812. Then it went to 822. And last week I think I told you, don't worry about 6 points. Don't worry about it for 6 points. If it drops 20 points, then you might have to start to worry. If it drops 60 points, then you definitely it's time to panic. All right. So look, I can't tell you definitively how long it's going to take you to get to 800. But again, the point is to start chipping away with it, chipping away at it. So if you're at that 580, if you're at 600, if you're at 650, start chipping away at your credit score. Whatever those things are on your credit report that are holding it back, and you know what they are. Whatever those things are, start chipping away with them. If you start now, then hopefully in the future, when you actually need it, when you really, really need it, when it's really, really going to pay off for you, you'll have that better credit score as well then. So make sure that you do that. Start just chipping away at it little by little. They say, how do you eat an elephant? You eat an elephant one bite at a time. So that's what you got to do with your credit as well. So Sonia from Michigan, thank you so very much for contacting me. You can contact me too and ask your question. I'll get right back to you personally. I'll get back to you on your question, and then you may be part of the 800 Credit Score Man Show family by being question of the day. And so, Sonia, welcome to officially welcome you to the 800 Credit Score Man Show family. Thank you so very much. And again, you guys contact me, 800 creditscoreman@gmail.com. That's where you can catch me. All right. So let's get to this before we get out of here. Happy birthday to Kevin Asbell. Got to get this young man a happy birthday shout out. You talking about doing big things. My namesake. Happy birthday to you, Kevin Asbell. I got to give a shout out to Trent Harville. Trent Harville listens to the show, man. Thank you so much for sharing my stuff and whatnot. I really do appreciate it. And John Trevor celebrated a birthday. So happy birthday to you, John, as well. All right, so let's get back to some of the things I'm talking about without you having to spend any money. Now, this one, you might have to spend a little money. You might got to spend a little money on this one. So this one, I'm talking about if you got a lower credit score, you may want to get a secured card. that's going to cost you money to get a secure card. You're going to have to pay the money up